With Sheffield Wednesday already relegated, the end is near. Are we getting nervous or is your club flying higher than Snoop Dogg? Welcome back to Beyond the Whistle with me, Matty K, and joined as always is the delightful Grace Wild.
Another great intro. I mean, just outstanding.
We're getting better, aren't we?
I mean, look, if you've been listening from the very beginning, like we are absolutely thriving now. We are thriving. We are running on what is it? What is it? The guy from Line of Duty says. Now we're running on diesel or whatever he said. No, I've forgotten. That would
But
have
look,
really
we're,
worked if I remembered the quote.
we're smashing intros, we've got guests on, we're almost running on time if it wasn't for me. As you've noticed, I haven't got any glasses today, so I can't see my notes. But yeah, other than that, we're flying, Grace. We're all good. For people who haven't seen the show before, this is Beyond the Whistle. We go back and we break down each Premier League game week in fixture order. If you'd like to stay for the full thing, please do, because we are quite good at what we do. But if you want to skip to your team, then it is done in fixture order, so you are also welcome to do that. Please stay around, because we just like you listening to us, really. Grace, Villa 1, Leeds. Well, actually, so we touch on that. I know I mentioned it in the intro. Sheffield Wednesday already relegated. I know we cover Premier League here, but it is a shame to see. And obviously, they had that points reduction, didn't they? Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those teams that I mean, you never really want to see a team relegated unless they're a rival, but that one just seems a bit sad. Do you know what I mean? I always liked the Wednesday United rivalry. I always thought that was healthy. Yeah, it's a shame, especially when it's point deduction based. Yeah, don't want to see it, but it's just football, I'm afraid.
Just another. I mean, to be fair, I've not really looked into the Sheffield Wednesday thing, so I probably can't comment on it. But is this another example of just poor ownership?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm in the exact same position. I haven't looked into it too much, but I'm assuming it's the same thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's becoming too common in football, and there needs to be a lot more. What's the word, like due diligence when it comes to owners of football club and stuff like that. But look, we're ready to talk about the Premier League. So jump straight in. Villa 1, Leeds 1. Give us your rundown on this because I feel like there's a certain word that's going to come out here during a certain free kick, and it might be coming very early doors.
It is coming early doors. It's the first goal we're going to talk about of the game week. It was Anton Stack's delightful free kick. Oh my God. That's my goal of the week for sure. It was tremendous. I've written down tremendous because I think it's even nicer than delightful. It put Leeds in front early on. And Villa had to fight back, and they did fight back eventually with Tammy Abraham. Good to see Abraham scoring. I quite like the fact that Tammy Abraham's come back to Villa. Good to see him get on the score sheet. Actually, quite a nice goal. It was from a corner. It was a knock on at the back post. Great finish. He pretty much kneed it in, but it didn't matter. It's one of those get contact on it, and he got the right contact on it. And this is one of those ones that Villa are going to think this is drop points. Of course, it's drop points. Leeds are not easy to play against, but I think Villa will be disappointed, especially at home.
Well, I put in one of our notes that me and you share for the run through on this, and the Leeds actually looked quite good. They've got a lot of fight about them, haven't
Yeah, and I think it's going to keep them up in all honesty. I think that is the difference. I mean, and I went to I went to an event at the weekend where I listened to a few players who were in the Great Escape team of West Ham, and they they couldn't emphasize enough that passion and that love for the game and grinding it out as being the reason they stayed up. The sort of quality gets you so far, but it's that inclination to put that final tackle in to get that second ball, and that's how I feel Leeds are. Leeds are really spirited. Every time I watch Leeds perform, they're spirited. They seem to get quite a few draws, which works quite well for them. So yeah, I've seen enough from Leeds, I think, to say that they'll be in the Premier League next season. It could change, but I'm pretty sure.
they? Yeah, but like, and maybe I'm seeing this from a different point of view because for obviously Tottenham, the teams around us, West Ham, Forest, Leeds, Brighton, and Palace, they all won this weekend. No, sorry, Forest didn't, but they all look like they're fighting. They all look like they actually are trying, and they all want to stay up. Whereas compared to us, where we just don't. Well, I mean, we'll get onto it, but we just don't look like we care. But Leeds are one of them teams who are just fighting, and they are getting the points. And yeah, I'm the same as you. I think they'll be up next season.
Yeah, and again, like you said, we'll get on to Spurs, but I think this is where I worry for Spurs because I do think that not necessarily from the fan base, but from the players, there's a bit of complacency, maybe a bit we're too good to go down. Oh, we won't go down. We're Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? And I think you can't think like that in a dogfight. Not to bring it back to the event, but like the players that I heard at the weekend, they had a good enough squad. I mean, Tevez was up front. Do you know what I mean? It was a great squad. Well, it was a good squad. It was definitely good enough to stay up. But it was only when they knuckled down and said, look, this is a realistic issue, like we could actually go down, that they actually started performing and they actually started getting themselves out of the problem. And that's where I fear, from a neutral point of view, Tottenham are at.
Yeah, 100%. Villa, regarding Villa, obviously, like you said, this does feel a little bit like points dropped. I would probably say they are out of the title race now, either they are 10 points behind Arsenal. What are Villa lacking? I think we've touched on this before. Is it just a lack of squad depth?
I think there's an element of maybe they're fighting up against teams who have got 10 out of 10s on the pitch, 9 out of 10s on the bench. They're potentially 9 out of 10s on the pitch, 8 and 7 out of 10s on the bench. I think they're probably fighting up against squads with much larger quality on in them. So there's a natural fall off potentially. But I think from a Villa perspective, it's that inability to break down a low block, and that's exactly what Leeds put in front of them was a low block, and they just couldn't. They could not break it down. They could not get the opportunity, and in the end, they brought Tammy Abraham on, who I don't know about you, but when you come against a low block, obviously you want to put your faith in someone like Ollie Watkins. But Tammy Abraham is far more of a grinder. He's far more of a, it doesn't matter what contact it is as long as it's contact. Do you know what I mean? He's been in that dogfight before where coming up against a low block like that, he sort of comes in handy, and he's very physical. And I would have liked to have seen Tammy Abraham come on a bit earlier for them, to be honest with you. Um, just because he just has that ruggedness to him. And I think Watkins is quite pretty as a player. I think he likes the pretty game. So look, Abraham came on, scored the equaliser, a good goal from a corner, the type of goal that Tammy Abraham, thrives off of is those sort of goals. And yeah, it's just that problem. And I'll be honest with you, as a supporter of a team who are going to go to Villa Park in a couple of weeks, I can't say I'm terrified of them, because that's how we'll set up. We will set up with probably a low block, and we'll probably hit them on the counter. And as long as we do that effectively, you can almost guarantee that they're going to struggle against us. Unless they switch it up. But I know there's been questioning of Unai Emery as well, and his choices going into this game. So yeah, it's a tough one, but I think Villa need to. And look, it's a problem for everybody. It is a problem for everybody at the top when teams like Leeds and West Ham and Brighton, for example, Brighton's a bad example, maybe Palace, when they go to teams like Arsenal, Man City, Villa, they're gonna sit back. They're gonna invite the pressure, hit you on the counter. Of course they are. They're gonna try and absorb that pressure. And Villa are in that position now. They are not facing teams and facing the problem. They are the ones having to give it to the opposition. And I think that's just where they've come unstuck tactically.
Yeah, it's becoming a worrying trend though, isn't it? Because I mean, they had 67% possession, struggled to break Leeds down for most of the game. And they've dropped points at home to Everton, Brentford, and Leeds in three of their last four home matches. So, I mean, the proof's there, isn't it? It's just they can't seem to get past this low block. I think Spurs had a similar problem last season with Ange, just sort of struggled. You come up against a low block and they just didn't have an answer for it. But it is slightly worrying for Villa. And look, I mean, they've had a decent season. They look like, well, they are going to finish in the top four, I reckon, aren't they? You know what I mean? So you can't really argue with that. But if you want to go to that next step, which I think Villa can get there, this is the sort of thing that you have to learn to sort of deal with and learn to break it down, right? You can't be dropping points like that if you want to be pushing for the title.
No, absolutely not. And that's that next step. That's that next hurdle, isn't it? They've sort of gathered a bit of consistency with causing problems for the stereotypical top six. They now need to push on and be a consistent problem. They consistently contest every season, but they do tend to drop off at certain points. They do tend to sort of not be as much of a problem at certain periods of the season. And you're absolutely right. I think they've got to. I mean, I'd hope they could now attract players, and I think they are attracting players. But you look at Arsenal and Man City squad, for example, the two at the top. And you just think it's nearly impossible to get that level of quality, and not be a team like Arsenal and Man City. So it is a tough ask, there's no doubt, but 100% it's a successful season for Villa. There's no doubt. This is a minor issue that we're going into, and it's almost a nice issue for Villa fans to have because, they could be in the bottom half scrapping for their lives. So, it's a nice problem.
Yeah, and you mentioned about players and stuff like that there. I feel like we spoke about this, didn't we, regarding Villa, Tottenham, and Newcastle and Wade want to go. You kind of, especially this season, if you was to move in the summer out them three clubs, you're going to be looking at Villa really, are you? If the game time's guaranteed. So I think they're nailed on for being able to bring in players in the summer as long as PSR. Did they have troubles with PSR? I think at some point. So as long as that's all flattened out, then yeah, next season they could really kick on. But they need to just sort of like you say, iron these things out. Should we jump on to our next one? A record that not that a rest. Oh, what am I trying to say? I'm having a stroke. A record that you definitely do want on your resume. James Milner with the appearance record in the Premier League in the Brentford nil, Brighton 2. Talk to me, Chris.
What a I'll be honest with you. I was sat in a pre-match event looking forward to the West Ham game, thinking Brighton aren't going to get anything from this. And I was surrounded by West Ham fans, and I'm not joking. One of my friends was there from social media actually, and it came through on my watch that Brentford were losing, and I just showed it to him, and he just went, "For fuck's sake!" Like you literally can't call this season. This is insane. It's insane because Brighton away from home have been really poor, and Brentford have been surprisingly brilliant this season. It was just an off day, it seems. I think Igor Thiago has hit a bit of a rough patch in terms of finishing. I think he had another few opportunities that I expect him to do better with. He's his own worst enemy because he's set this sort of scale now. He's sort of set um, a level that we all expect him to be at now because of how he's been previously this season. So you do get disappointed when he's not burying chances. Brighton went 1-0 up. It was this was a funny one because the first effort on goal, I don't was it Matoma? I can't 100% remember. The first effort on goal was extraordinary, really really nice, but it got parried away and Gomez just finished it. Great positioning, of course. Being able to finish it once it's been parried, that's the type of thing you want your players to be able to do. They go 1-0 up. And then Brighton made it two with a Welbeck finish. Really poor defending. Really poor defending. I don't know whether you've seen that goal. But Welbeck just doing what Welbeck does brilliantly as a striker and he's just sitting there waiting for them to make a mistake. And yeah, again with his final product.
Yeah, you are right. I mean, when I looked at this game, I like to have a little flutter on the football on the Saturday and stuff like that. But I was looking at this one and I just left it because it's just I didn't really know which way it was going to go. Like you said, Brentford have had a fantastic season for the first year under Keith Andrews, and yeah, Brighton have been a bit 50-50. So I was just it was really hard to sort of weigh this one up. But a bit of a tactical pivot for Hertzler, wasn't they? He sort of changed his sort of like philosophy a little bit from his slow build up to hitting them hard and fast. So I kind of liked it. It was a bit of a change for Brighton, and well, it looks paid off, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is what Brighton fans have been calling for is a tactical shift. Is you know what really frustrates me with Brighton sometimes is they do have quality, and I think sometimes the way in which they play doesn't enhance that quality. It doesn't let those quality players shine. And the one that pops into my head immediately is Matoma. I've got a real soft spot for him. I really like watching him play football. And look, the system works. The system obviously got the best, well, maybe not the best out of them, but got better out of them. Brentford were probably shocked with the way in which they turned up. And look, they're 3 points, 3 points gained, and really important 3 points for they were looking. It's so close between 11th and 17th. It's so close. That 3 points will be really really helpful for Brighton. They were starting to look over their shoulder, and it's certainly a result I didn't expect them to get. So yeah, fair play to Hertzler.
I mean, I've not really got too much to say. I think it was just an off day for Brentford, and that's pretty much all I can say. It just the performance felt very flat, and I think that, yeah, just an off day. Well, I'm hoping so, and I think a lot of Brentford fans would would be hoping that it's just an off day as well. But yeah, it just felt like that to me. It could have gone either way before kick-off. No one really knew, and yeah, it just sort of went towards Brighton, which at home I'd expected Brentford to put up a bit more of a fight, but yeah, like I said, just very flat.
Yeah, flat, an off day. That's yeah, I think that perfectly sums it up.
Yeah, sweet. Well, we're rattling through. Should we jump into Chelsea 1, Burnley 1? I didn't really get to see much of the 3 o'clock games. I'm assuming you didn't either because you'd have been at the event. I was at the Hull City game, which was, yeah, the kickoff. So by the time I got back, I think it was already like half an hour into these games. But Chelsea 1, Burnley 1. More dropped points for Chelsea here, really. And the red cards continued early for Chelsea, Chris.
Yeah, and this is a serious problem. This is a discipline issue. Like I think we can say these things
I think,
sometimes,
sorry, I
and
think this is my drinks delivery.
oh, look
And
at
this
this.
is our
What
weekly drinks delivery. Thank you.
what
Thank you.
service?
Thank you.
Incredible. I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean the listeners won't know, but we never start on time, do we? So I'm always delayed by something. Grace is a true professional. She's always here on time with her cup of tea. I'm assuming that is or it could be vodka. We know she's a teacher. She needs that sort of stuff. Uh, Go on,
You
Grace.
know,
Yeah, the red card issue with Chelsea.
yeah, I think we throw about discipline issues a lot in football. I think this is a genuine one. There's something not right, and it has to be addressed because this, for me, that was the turning point in this game. That invited Burnley back into this game. It gave them hope. They started really well. It was a really simple goal from João Pedro, put them 1-0 up. And then that Fofana red card. The problem is that I know there'd be so many people, and probably old defenders who would turn around and go, "How's that a red?" Do you know what I mean? But it was clumsy. It was late. Studs were showing. It is just a red, and it's just that clumsiness that needs to be avoided. And I when Fafana came on for them when we played them, he was a complete game changer. And I think it's just really disappointing that you can't rely on those players to keep disciplined. My question to you is: do you think, as somebody who knows Liam Rosenior quite well, do you think he's got the balls to address it?
Well, look, I think there's a lot of questions over, and I'm going to use a word that I never thought I'd use here. There's a lot of questions around his aura, whatever this is supposed to mean. But yeah, I think he will, and I don't think he'll be happy about it. I understand what people are saying in terms of the way he sort of comes across in press conferences and stuff like that. And but yeah, I do. It'll be mentioned, and he's not gonna see. The thing is, like you just said then about these old school defenders saying about this shouldn't be a red. Yeah, okay, it was a red, but it's also a second yellow. Why are you making a challenge like that when you're already on a yellow card in the first place? Um,
Exactly. I think, and that's the thing, is that, like, sorry, I should have been more
no, good.
specific there. It wasn't a straight red. I should have said it was two yellows. I think it's those are the type of tackles that were just a part of the game
Mm.
30 years ago. And you're right, weren't even a yellow. And I think you shouldn't be taking that risk on a yellow. You just can't be. You can't be. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised, often when you're on a yellow, you then become somebody that the manager considered taking off. It's a difficult one, but you're 100% right. He should not be doing that on a yellow, whether you think it's a yellow or not, whether you think that should lead to a red card or not. Yeah, it was clumsy and it was a silly decision.
Well, I'm just looking through the notes again here, as you know, I tend to do. But I think it's not really showing me on here, but I think is this the first red card under Liam Rosenior's tenure?
I was thinking that. I think it is. I'm
And I
almost
think we spoke about this before with Chelsea and their disciplinary. I mean, like I'm not saying this was Maresca's fault, but under Maresca, there was getting like nearly a red card a game. Um, so I think Rosenior has come in and sort of said, "Look, this needs addressing. We can't just keep going down to 10 men like this." I think I am pretty certain that that is the first red card under Liam. I might have to fact check it, but I'm pretty certain it is. So I think he has come in and sort of seen the issue and said, look, boys, we need to calm down a bit during games. And yeah, it's just a silly decision on the player. And I think didn't the player come out and say that the mentality's changed under Liam Rosenior and they weren't expecting to be down to 10 men and stuff like this, and then you come out and do something like that. But yeah, I just go back to that, what I just said, you can't make a challenge like that on a second yellow. And I think that just, you can't really. I'd like to answer your question. Yes, I think he will address it, and the player probably will be fined. And yeah, it'll be put on the player. It's not really Liam Rosenior's fault. I don't expect to see this week in, week out, to be honest.
I mean, my question to you is like, look at the tackle. Is it clumsy enough to? And I'm saying not that I think it should be a red because I think we give them out quite freely now. But could you argue, based on how the game is refereed now, that that challenge alone could have potentially gotten him into trouble?
Can I, before I answer, can I go back and have a look at this?
Of course, you can.
You keep talking, and I'll just throw up this and have a look.
I'm not saying this as a I think it should have been, but I just think the way, and it's fine, it's really fine margins when it comes to red cards and things like that. But it's not just clumsy as a second yellow, it's just clumsy overall, you know. It the thing that it comes to my brain straight away is it gives the referee a decision to make. And I think he could go either way. I know we have VAR now, so you know it is more than that. But I don't know how you feel about it, but I just think in today's game, it's almost like you could build a case that it was maybe even a red on its own.
The,
It
the red card game before the Burnley goal, didn't it? Was it about the 74th minute? Oh, there we
Yeah,
go. I found it now. I'm just trying to find it on YouTube, but it's just come up now. Let's have a look at this. So he's coming in. Yeah, look on it. Yeah. Do you know, the only thing is right, and I know this is going to sound extremely biased because obviously I'm a Tottenham fan. I feel like if Romero does make that challenge, that is going to be given as a red.
and look, I'm going to sit here as a West Ham fan who theoretically doesn't like Tottenham, and I would probably agree with you because I do think that there is
Uh,
some bias towards some players.
I will add on the end of that. In today's world,
Yes,
today's world,
yes, that's
I'm not. We're not saying that that should be given as a red. We're not saying that. But yeah, look, 100% it's a yellow card, and he's already on a yellow. Don't make a challenge like that. Simple as that, innit? We won't be having this conversation if you didn't lose your head and make a challenge like that. And ultimately, it did cost them the game.
yeah, 100% it did, and it just this is what's really interesting about it is I think this is the reaction from this and whether Chelsea get more red cards or they make more dodgy decisions throughout the season. I'm sure there'll be one or two, even if Rosenior has a proper grasp of it all now. This is the first one. I'm pretty sure we're happy to both say it's the first one. We might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one under Rosenior. This is crunch time. This is whether you tackle it now and they're fine for the rest of the season, or if he doesn't tackle it, then they're going to have a problem and it will keep happening. So this is going to be a really interesting one from my perspective of watching how this one plays out because you know I asked that question to you and I think there's a part of me that thought yeah he would address it because like he came out in his post match and I think he said um the error of the Burnley goal was someone not marking who they should have been marking.
Oh, it
Now
was
that
fuming in that press conference, wasn't he?
and that gives me hope from a Chelsea perspective. That gives me hope because he didn't dob someone in it. He didn't say, "Oh, such and such wasn't marking the right bit." He was very clear he wasn't going to say who wasn't, but he was also very blunt with what the problem was. And I'd like to think that he could bring that into the dressing room and have that blunt conversation. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how Chelsea are discipline wise after this.
And yeah, I think like he gets a lot of stick from rival fans and stuff like that for the way he sort of carries himself. I like the man. I really do. I think he's a good addition to the Premier League. I do like him. I liked him when he was at Hull, and I mean, I didn't really follow his career after that. But then, like I said, I commented. I think the Chelsea job was too soon, but it doesn't mean I dislike him. And I think um, this is what makes him likable to fans of previous clubs because he doesn't come out and he doesn't just rip the players apart. He's quite open in terms of saying this is the issue, but he'll never drop somebody in it. And I think the players will respect that as well in the dressing room because they're not. He's not. throwing them under the bus every week. But 100%, 110%, he'll be saying something to them in the dressing room saying that is unacceptable. And it'll probably be a 2 weeks wage fine.
And what I think is a problem in modern day football, I think there's two things that are a problem in modern day football. He didn't come out and whinge about something and say it was something else's fault. He has fully said it was a mistake. I'm not going to say who it was, but we'll address it. And he'll keep it internal. Whatever happens with Fafana, I feel like I have the faith that it won't bleed out. Do you know what I mean? I think he'll deal with it and he'll deal with it internally, and that's exactly how it should be at a well-run football club.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to move on in a minute. I just wanted to point out that he's 19 points dropped from a winning position for Chelsea. That is quite worrying, isn't it?
It is, but again, you have to take it with a pinch of salt, given the fact they're under a different manager now.
Yeah.
And the discipline issue has been partly to blame for that. So I think it is worrying, and I think we're not seeing Chelsea in the title race, for example, but it's something you've got to give the manager time to deal with.
Sorry, I'm not frozen. I was just counting. I'm just terrible at maths. I was just counting up the points that Chelsea would be on if they hadn't dropped them 19 points. But yeah, no, I was just, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, every team can say that they've dropped points up and down the board. But yeah, like you say, it's under a different manager. Anyway, let's move on. Just very quickly, good point for Burnley. There's not really much else I can say.
Yeah,
Good.
there's not much to say because it's probably not going to be enough to keep them in the conversation of staying up, but it's a good point for
Yeah,
Burnley.
but again, they're fighting, and
Yeah.
that's as we'll get on to. That's not what we're seeing from everybody around them.
Arguably, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, I'm not saying they're not fighting. Could you say some of the players are now doing shop window?
Oh,
They're now
100%. Yeah,
trying to get
110%.
themselves a move.
110%. West Ham nil, Bournemouth nil. Right, Grace, I always hand this over to you. I did actually watch this one, but I was watching the new Nuremberg film while this was on as well, so I kind of had a bit of eye on both. But from what I did see, and like I say, I usually let you do the West Ham analysis because you know everything about it more than I do. It was 0-0, but this looks very end to end.
Oh, it was a great match for a neutral, really. I mean, it was really enjoyable. I would just like to add that Nuremberg film is very good. I have watched it. Don't know how you
Twice.
felt
Seen it
about
twice.
it. It's mint. It's great. Anyway, this is not a film review. Yes, I was in the stands for this one, so it was oh lovely under the lights. That's exactly how I like it. The stadium isn't perfect by any means, but it's still lovely to be back at a football match under the lights.
I'm going to find out very soon.
Yes, you are going to find out very soon for a little podcast day out. Can't wait. Yeah, this was a nervy game. I think from both sides, it seemed quite cagey. I think, in all honesty, from a West Ham perspective, we were scared to make the wrong move. I think defensively we were solid. Defensively we were very, very good. Another clean sheet. I just think we were nervous to make the wrong move and concede because it felt like the minute Bournemouth scored, we would then be forced into attack, and that would leave so much more room for the likes of Ryan, who has been unbelievable, to really exploit that space. I think there was an element of that. Um, but we did have some good chances. We did. We had some good chances that we should have buried.
Well,
Um,
I was sorry. I was going to. I know. I don't know really your feelings on it. You know mine on the whole XG. But what? Just go on real quickly. What is your thoughts on this XG? Because I think it's an absolute bollocks of a stat. But go on.
what the fuck does it tell you? Like I get it, but I don't get it. Do you know what I mean? I never take it into account,
No,
really.
no, no, mate. I completely agree with you. But look, everyone brings it up and everyone talks about it. And to be fair, your XG was 3.27, which is quite high. It's decent. You know what I mean? And you had, I mean, 3 shots on target. You had 10 shots off target, which probably tells something about your shooting practice. But yeah, yeah, go on, carry on. I just wanted to bring that up because the stats do say that you had your chances.
Yeah, absolutely, and we did, and there was a point where I think Wilson played Somerville in behind him rather than in front of him, and that would have won us the game really late on. It just felt, when going forward, it wasn't working out, so it was almost more important that defensively it did work out, and I think, look, 3 points. would have been huge for us, especially given the Forest game. And to be fair, looking slightly above us, looking at the North London derby, that 3 points would have been huge.
So don't want
But
to talk about it.
we'll get onto it. Um, but a point is a point at the end of the day. It's another, given Forest were 3 points away and now they're 2 points away. It's making up ground. It's making up a small amount of ground, but it's making up ground. Another decent performance. I look, the performance is now in comparison to the first half of the season. It's chalk and cheese. I am not going to sit here and say what a terrible performance because I've seen terrible performances this season, and
Well,
that's not one of them.
well, to be fair, like we go back when we started this podcast, we'd written West Ham off. Even yourself as a West Ham fan, we'd pretty much all confirmed that they were relegated. And then you look at the sort of turned it around, and I mean, this is going to sound absolutely mental, but you look at Nuno's track record, and you think if he had stayed at Tottenham, could he have turned that around as well? Because obviously he had. I'm not saying that he should have stayed there. I don't think he ever should have been brought in. It was like our 14th. I think even I was given the call before Nuno was coming. But, he has got a track record of this, hasn't he? And he's turned it around, and you are looking good. And again, and this is the running theme of the pod, you are fighting.
Yeah, and it's Matty. It's those clean sheets. It's those clean sheets that for me give me hope. We've changed the goalkeeper, and he just he's everything. So we've not been doing this all season. Madsen Manson came in. I knew his quality. I knew how good he was at Leicester. And yes, obviously Leicester got relegated, but it's the eye test, isn't it? It's seeing how good he is as an actual goalkeeper. He came in, the people in front of us, and I think I touched on it last week. The players in front of him were really, really poor. He was left essentially to the shit because he got a lot of shit for the goals he conceded. And I think he wasn't at his best at that point. New club, came in quite late in the transfer window, I believe. But now he has he has this line in front of him, and they are so composed and they are confident and they are passionate. And I was watching it, so I was towards the side of our goal in the second half, and I was watching his movement, I was watching his positioning, and he's not the biggest goalkeeper in the world, but his distance between himself and the goal was so much larger. And I just think that made him look so much bigger when the likes of Ryan came up the wing and caused a problem. He looked harder to beat. And I just think he's more demanding in the box. When he punches the ball away, he fucking punches it. Jesus Christ. I mean, what's it called? Oh God. I just want to call it dispersion. It's not dispersion. Um, God, what's the ball? What's it called when you kick the ball from when you're taking a goal kick?
Yeah, from one point, from your shortest point to your furthest point.
Well, yeah, it's called
That,
something.
well, that is your dispersion rate. If you took your collective and put
It's
a ring around it, that would be your dispersion rate.
I don't know why that just doesn't feel right, but you know what I mean. His ability to find someone in a claret t-shirt is much better than Ariola's, and I've got nothing against Ariola, but just those simple changes, I'll round up my point now because I could bang on for hours. Those simple changes have been the difference. And I think they have confidence in each other. And that's why they can leave that little bit of distance. That's why in a corner situation, we don't look as vulnerable because we know if he's not surrounded by West Ham players, he can punch that ball out and it's in a much safer position than in the mix. And that's something I think almost was a problem for him going into this season was there were so many players around him and opposition that they were coming into it trying to get on top of him because they knew he would fluster that he couldn't have control of that. Now I feel like we've learned what he prefers, and it's working out very, very well for us. And so I can only really compliment our defensive display, and it was very good, very good.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to move on in a minute, but that Ryan, whatever you want to call him, we spoke about him before. We love him, though. He looks mint, doesn't he? He looks really a really really good player. Very good
Rapid.
sign for Bournemouth, and after losing Semenyo, it's the type of player that they needed. I wanted to ask you real quickly on those. So you've touched on the goalkeeper and how more solid it makes the defence. Disasi? Biassi?
Oh,
Is that it?
unit,
Yeah.
unit, mate.
He's
And
on
I don't.
loan, right?
Yeah, he's on loan. He hasn't played since April.
Yeah.
You would have no idea. He's an absolute unit. And I mean, when we conceded against Man United, he was distraught. That's what I like to see. When Juve made a tackle that was a really important tackle, he went straight over to him and whacked him on the back and sort of congratulated. That's a man who wants to play. Do you know what I mean? That's a man who really has bought into everything Nuno is trying to put in place. And do you know what? I do not want to see him going anywhere. I think he's been awesome since he came to us.
Yeah, I was just having a look here when you said about he's not played for since, did you say April?
I think it's April.
Yeah, in a 2-1 loss to Man City when he was with Aston Villa, I think.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I mean, would you make it? I'm assuming you'd make the move permanent if you could.
Yeah, I think right now, obviously there's still a lot of football to be played, but right now I'd say absolutely. He reminds me a lot of Kurt Zuma when he played for West Ham. He's that type of defender, just doesn't take shit, just does what he needs to do, clears up, doesn't cause himself unnecessary issues, doesn't cause the goalkeeper unnecessary issues, deals with the problem, gets on. And he's not one to he'll congratulate others, but he's not one to show off when he does something right. Like, I don't know why that's a big thing, but it's like he just does it because that's his job. Do you know what I mean?
Well, let's hope he's nice to his animals. Should we move on to Man City 2, Newcastle 1? I watched this, like I said, Saturday night was pretty chill for me. Nuremberg, West Ham, and Man City. I watched this one pretty closely because we all want Arsenal to bottle it. O'Reilly, Jesus Christ, unbelievable game.
O'Reilly's a bit of a cheat code for them at the moment, isn't he?
Is he a cheat code? Who slammed him in the FPL team at the last minute? Absolute cheat code. Honestly, I was buzzing off that. Yeah, no, I know. Like, let's not get into that. But yeah, I slammed him into the FPL. Absolute raked in the points.
I mean, he's just confident. He's confident. That's the first goal summed up his confidence because he just went for it and he got what he deserved from going for it. And I love seeing players in that confident moment, where they just have no fear, where they just go, everything I touch turns to gold type situation. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, Newcastle then did equalise. It was a great shot. I'm pretty sure it took a deflection. And I just don't think Donnarumma could see it. I don't know whether you saw the goal, but I just don't think Donnarumma could see it. Um, Hard luck, it's one of those. But then O'Reilly goes and makes it 2-1, and no one was marking him because nobody's expecting to mark O'Reilly. I mean, I'm sure next week, whoever City play, I mean, I've forgotten who City play next week, but
I can tell
they.
you. I'll put it up.
Oh,
The
wait.
what I did want to say about O'Reilly, I think it was was the second goal the header.
Yeah, it was a
Uh,
Haaland crossing.
it's Leeds playing Leeds in it.
I'm sure Leeds will almost certainly have somebody marking O'Reilly next week, because he's just too dangerous at the moment. He's
Is
too.
the they play Leeds on the 28th, and then a quick turnaround. Where's they play Man City? They play Forest on the 4th.
It's quite a quick turnaround actually. But when you've got goals coming from the likes of O'Reilly, this is when City are dangerous because they have goals coming from everywhere. And you're seeing a Haaland assist like we saw.
Well,
When
this is what I was going to mention. I mean, Man City, they just do this towards the end of the season, don't they? And I don't know why everyone's got in this habit of writing Man City off towards the start of the season. Like they always start slow, and then they just get to like February and they just win. They just win, win, and win, and they know how to finish a season and just
yeah,
pick up points. But yeah, O'Reilly, the second goal was a header, right? From
yes,
Alan says, yeah, unbelievable. It was just if you actually watch it, the run that he makes, yeah, okay, the defender does switch off, and he should be aware of his surroundings. But it was just an unbelievably clever run. He just runs into the box and he heads it home like he is the number 9. You know what I mean? There's no way to put it. A brilliant, brilliant run for O'Reilly. Um, and I don't really want to give away my star of the week, but it could be up there if it wasn't for a certain person's work rate.
oh,
Because yeah, and this
oh,
is do you know what? I'll just tell you. So my actual star of the week this week is Haaland. Um, But
Interesting.
surprisingly, it was going to be Gyökeres, but I just cannot do it to myself. I can't give it to an playing
Yeah,
against.
I did that. I don't know whether it was last week or no, it was week before last. So I didn't feel like I could do Jokeres this week. I have gone O'Reilly.
Well, this so I wanted to go Gyökeres because to be fair, like I said, we'll get onto it. He did play very well, but what surprises me with Haaland is I just didn't expect it, and everyone's talking about it. And like again, from my FPL sort of like view, everyone's sort of like, oh, he's not scoring, he's not scoring. You watch him on that pitch, he's becoming unbelievable at his work rate off the ball. He was at left back at one point. You know what I mean? He was unbelievable. He was like watching Harry Kane when he was playing for Tottenham. He was dropping in deep and he was helping out with the defending. Towards the end of the game, I think Newcastle had a chance where Haaland didn't. It wasn't like blocked off the line, but you know what I mean. It was a blocked shot, which was probably on target. Um, he was winning headers and obviously the assist for O'Reilly absolutely superb from Haaland because I just didn't expect it. And he was holding up the ball really well. He was just shrugging players off, which we all know he can do. But we sort of have this like narrow mindedness with Haaland where he's just like, oh, he's just there for goals. They're just a tapping at the back post and stuff like that. And he's not. He's just, yeah, he did. He really impressed me. This. I know it sounds daft because we all see Haaland as like one of the best players in the league, or if not the world. But just, it really did surprise me his work rate off the ball and away from the goal side of it.
And I imagine that's something that Pep, because it's so significantly mentioned in the media, I imagine that's something Pep has had in his back pocket type thing. You know, Newcastle are a decent side at the end of the day, and they needed that win today. I would not be surprised if that was one of those things they talked about where Haaland drags away defenders. He occupies them. Just his presence occupies them, and that leaves room for other players. And you know, it could have been a freak of nature, and it could have been completely, something that even Pep was surprised by. But knowing Pep, I wouldn't be shocked if it's something he thought about.
But we were sort of like saying this, weren't we? And I know, look, they're two completely different players. But we were saying, weren't we, a few weeks back about Salah and how he just sort of sits on the halfway line and just waits for the ball to get to him. And okay, look, that's his game, and he's made an outstanding career by doing that. But this is like I think people had that sort of interpretation of Haaland of oh he just sits in the centre circle and waits for the ball to come up to him for him to hold it up and but you just watch this game and you just I was really impressed just dropping back into defence like I said winning headers from Newcastle corners and just honestly it blew me away. I just didn't expect it. I was just thinking fair play mate you've absolutely smashed that so that's why I've had to give him the star of the week.
And do you know what? I'd love to say I saw a lot of his off the ball. Uh, oh God, what's the word I was gonna?
Right.
I'm literally losing it today. Like I'm losing it. Um,
His
a
work
lot
off.
of his work off the ball. But I was instead on a train to Milton Keynes making a friend who I still don't know his name, but he hugged me when we got off the train. So, make a friendly, make a friend. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. Make a friend on a train. That's what the trains are for. Had a great
Yeah,
conversation
but
about
not Milton.
random shit.
Jesus. I'm surprised you're here. You made out alive.
So I had my 6 foot brother with me. It's fine.
Yes.
Um,
Could be
yeah,
worse. Could be Luton.
well, exactly. We consider ourselves lucky. So yeah, I would love to say that I saw that, but I would be completely lying to your face because I was on a train. Um, but I can imagine it. I can imagine it. And like you saying about Kane when he was at Tottenham, it's one of those things you expect from your wingers, isn't it? One of those things where you expect them to graft, you expect them to run back and put in that defensive shift. And when you consider a striker doing it as well, it's just magical. When the striker is at that point in his game where they're the sort of things he's doing to improve his game, you've got a proper striker on your hands.
And I think it goes to show, like, you can sort of tell who really does watch sort of certain players because I think this was quite prominent in the Euros or the World Cup or whatever. Everyone was having a go about Harry Kane, saying, "Why is he dropping so deep? Why is he dropping? We need him up front. He's absolutely useless." He made his career out of doing that for Tottenham. He was unbelievable at dropping in deep, picking up the ball, and some of the balls that he used to whip from midfield, you'd think he was like Kevin De Bruyne. He used to make some unbelievable passes, and look, we're starting to see that from Haaland, and he's sort of adapting his game a little bit, which is good all round. And I think, to be honest, he's going to be at Man City for years to come. Maybe Madrid might come knocking, but why not? I think. I think he'll be at Man City for a long time. Look, it's all up in the air. With no one knows what's happening with the charges and stuff. But yeah, honestly, he adapted his game really, really well. Newcastle, that is 17 consecutive league defeats against Man City. Bogey team is an understatement, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, but I'd like to know the last time we got anything from Man City.
Well,
Do you
look,
know what
that's the one thing that we actually can sort of maybe praise Tottenham for is
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't ever like to say City are a bogey team because they're just quality. A bogey team is like fucking Brighton at the Amex. Do you know what I mean? Like it is a bogey team in Newcastle standards, but City are just quality. You know, I didn't expect anything less. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I think I said this would be 3-1 City because you just like you say, it's coming towards City. Like we used to talk about Fergie time. This is Pep's time. Like Fergie time used to be within a game where you know those dying minutes of the game. Pep's time is the second half of the season. I know it's slightly different, but he just turns it on. Whatever squad he's got, they just click all of a sudden, and 100%. I think it's almost in terms of mathematically, it's not City's to lose, it's still Arsenal's to lose. But I think my money's on City now.
Yeah, fair enough. One, two, three, four more games to rattle through because at time of recording, this is Monday, and Man United Everton play tonight at the time of recording. Just before we jump into the Palace game, obviously I mentioned FPL. I know you set up an FPL mini league, didn't you? Do you actually do your FPL, or do you just set and forget?
Like I used to, I used to do my FPL, but I'll be honest with you, I do so much for a game week to start that I don't even think about FPL anymore. There's so much going on in there before a game week starts. Yeah, FPL. I wish I was still doing FPL.
Like,
Sometimes I still remember.
there's too much stuff in like even like now it's just popped up a notification math analysis. I haven't done it, and I've got like an hour. I mean, I won't have time to do it now because I've got an hour left, and we'll be recording this. So there's just so much to do in there. You're constantly forgetting. Palace 1, Wolves 0. I haven't really got much to say about this, to be honest. But there was a penalty save, and there was a 90-minute winner. That's about it. I've not really got much else to say.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the Wolves missed penalty. I it was too obvious which direction he was going in. Way too obvious. I think he just gave it to Henderson on a plate, pretty much. I mean, there was a Krejci red card. I think Krejci got sent off.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a second yellow again. So you know,
Yeah, I'm just reading here because I mean I don't know if I actually put it in our notes, but apparently there was tension in the stands. Despite the win, the atmosphere at Selhurst Park was incredibly tense before kickoff and throughout much of the match. Fans at the is it the Holmesdale end?
oh, I
Uh,
don't know.
displayed banners reading "Opportunities missed, board inept, and fans disrespected." Uh, Glasner finished. Yeah, like look,
Wow.
I know we have done we've covered Palace to death, haven't we? I think I've been very vocal on the Palace situation. I do feel sorry for the fans. I could go on about it forever. But yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, even after a win, when it's stuff like this, it's not a good look, is it?
No, but I'll be honest with you. We both support teams where the boards are just
Oh yeah,
constantly
oh yeah, 100%.
shit. So you get it. I get it. You know, and we've said this every week. I get
Yeah,
it, Palace fans. I really do. I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't be doing that. You won. Shut up. I'm not going to do that because I know what it's like. I know how shit it can be. I know stuff like this just pretty much just sticks a plaster right over the crack that is a good
especially especially like I've said to you before, with them winning the trophy last season, you'd expect this year just to be the highlight of their year. They just go on an absolute high. But I think with the whole Glasgow situation and stuff, and the way I mean, it started off poorly, did it, with them being kicked out of Europa League into the Conference League. So, but yeah, look,
yeah.
it's not good to see, but we've done it to death. So I am going to go into it too much. All I will say is these people that are saying that people are wrong for protesting, mate, you've paid your ticket, you can do what you want.
Absolutely. There's
Absolutely.
a reason.
As long as everybody's safe and nobody's getting hurt or injured, look, at the end of the day, football is for everybody, family, kids. So as long as they're not in danger and you're doing it peacefully, crack on. You've paid your ticket, you deserve to be there, and you've got a voice.
Preach.
But, yeah, that's all I've got to say about the game. There's literally not much else to say. To be fair, last minute winner won it really. So
Yeah, good finish as well. Decent finish. I think. was pretty unmarked at that point. Um, yeah, it was a nice ball whipped in, and it was a tough finish, but it was a great finish. He caught it well, and yeah, 90th minute winner, 3 points to Palace.
Just announced now Martinez is out versus Everton.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, no, rattling through this because I think we're all saving it up for that last game that we're going to talk about. Forest nil, Liverpool one. Do you know what? Again, to be fair, I've not really got too much to say. I think it all sort of came towards the end. The first game for Victor Pereira. That I'm
Hmm.
saying that right. It was the old Wolves manager, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, first game for him ended in defeat. Liverpool did have the ball in the back of the net twice, both by McAllister. First one ruled out. Talk to me, Chris.
Forest should have 100% gotten something in the first half. They were by far the better team. They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. That's going to be a theme in this review. As in, I mean, for Forest. Liverpool were really poor, and I'll be honest with you, it gives me hope for next week when we go to Anfield because they were poor. I think
100%. And
they
I
lost.
think,
Go
sorry,
on, me.
I think Slot did come out and say that's the worst 45 minutes of football he's seen Liverpool play.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was really bad. And I think Forest had to take advantage of it because you knew it wasn't going to be another 45 minutes of really bad. You knew they were going to improve to some degree. They lost Verts in the warm up, which was obviously massive for them. He's been really important the last few games, minimum. And I think that probably played on them. I don't know. You never know. He's been really important creatively, and I think that's probably where they lacked. I mean, I don't want to bang on about Salah because I think Liverpool are bigger than Salah, if you know what I mean. But it was just poor, and I think this is
Again,
where,
it's another thing that we've just done to death in it. We spoke about it so many weeks, and we could argue about this. Well, not argue, that's the wrong word, but we could debate this for as long as it continues to go on.
yeah, and it is that thing we've already brought up, which is not going back and getting the ball. Just expecting it, and it's something that would wind me up. And I know he's brilliant. This is not me saying that he's not extraordinary because he has been. Like you said, he built his career, and it's a very successful career from that. But it is infuriating in games like this. It is infuriating. Yeah, pretty much Liverpool turned it on ever so slightly in the second half. Again, Forest couldn't finish their dinner. And McAllister disallowed goal to begin with. I'll be honest with you, I needed a Liverpool win here. I was very hopeful for a Liverpool win. Was absolutely devastated it was given as a handball, but that's just the rules these days. But then McAllister popped up again, and just you could see that he had confidence from slotting that first one home. He put himself in a great position, slotted it in the back of the net. Liverpool come away with 3 points.
Yeah, I'm just flicking through the stats here. I can do overall. I can do first half and second half, and I'm just flicking between the first and second half, and genuinely can't believe it. Is Yeah, wow, that is a very very poor half from Liverpool in it.
Really poor, really, really poor. And I
Again,
think,
sorry, I know again XG. I know we spoke about it. 0.06.
oh, that's low. Christ.
That is, yeah. Well, I mean to be like, oh, even I know Forest are at home, but 59% possession in the first half.
Mhm.
That's again, I know Forest are at home, but that is not something you'd still expect Liverpool to sort of dominate the possession, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you do expect them to. The truth is Liverpool wherever they go should dominate possession. That's just the
And
type of team
they
they are.
did 66 in the second half.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, I just want to bring up something that Jamie Carragher said post game is it felt, and I don't really have a problem with Jamie Carragher, but his description, it felt a bit like he hasn't understood the relegation battle, or the current one. Like, obviously, he understands relegation battles, but the current one, the theme of the current one, he said Forest have shown enough to stay up. And he's not wrong in what he said, but that's a lot of them are. A lot of teams in that bottom 4 or 5 are showing the quality to stay up. The problem with Forest is they can't put the ball in the back of the net.
Mm.
And they can because they did midweek in Europe. But for some reason, something's not clicking. And that is a major, major problem for Forest, especially because, and I'm not just saying this as a West Ham fan, I'm doing this from a neutral point of view. West Ham are starting to gain points now, and it is going to become a problem. And it frustrated me when he said it because I was like, yeah, it's a great general statement because you're not wrong, but it doesn't suit what is really going on down there, which is the likes of Leeds and Forest and West Ham are all showing character, but at the end of the day, it's the ones who are getting points. Leeds are getting points. At the end of the day, Leeds are getting the most points. They are turning that character into wins, and that's the key for me. And I think West Ham are at that point now as well. I think we've got 11 points from our last 18 potential points. That's character turned into points. Forest showed character, couldn't turn it into any end product,
Well,
and that is a worrying thing.
I've got the league table based on form, and West Ham sit seventh, Leeds sit 13th, Forest sit 14th.
There you go. There you go.
Any guesses at who's sitting at the bottom?
Tottenham. Yeah.
Even Wolves, and this is no disrespect to Wolves, but even Wolves are higher than us. What's this? PGMOL to probe VAR delays. Oh, that's to do with North London Derby. We'll get on that in a minute. Um, yeah, I know I mentioned this earlier, and I think we mentioned this, but we kind of glossed over it a little bit. And with the Liverpool links, we'll tie it in. The James Milner appearance record. What a career, by the way.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
Insane.
We mentioned it, and I think what is it, 600 and some appearances? Like I'm gonna have to find that. Is it like 624 something like that?
Something
Mental.
like that. We're not going to see it anymore. I'm almost certain. Can you think of a player who's going to have that type of career? And I mean at the top level as well. I mean playing at the top level to have that. It's just crazy.
Where is? Oh, there we go. It's the biggest story of the day wasn't the scoreline, but James Milner breaking Gareth Barry's long-standing record by starting the match. Milner made his 654th Premier League appearance, officially becoming the outright record holder at 40 years old. He played nearly the full 90 minutes and put in a vintage discipline display in midfield. Yeah, look, like you just said, it's not just the fact that he's played that many games; it's at that level. Unbelievable, fair play. And people always downplay James Miller and what he's actually done and stuff like that. It's not just about what he's done on the pitch. What that man will bring to a locker room or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it, room, whatever, that is worth the transfer fee alone. And I think
100%.
even Slot came out and said, I didn't realise how much James Miller did until he left the club. And he just the voice, the experienced voice in there. Yeah, okay, he's not starting every game, but the experienced voice coming onto the pitch and just even the little things that we don't see where he handles the players' fines behind the scenes and he handles the discipline and he keeps everybody in check. We don't see that sort of stuff, but how important that is to other players in them changing rooms, it can't be bought. And I think you are right. We probably won't see that again because he's just I mean, the money talks in football now, so loyalty's kind of out the window. But he just wants to play football, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he's like you say, it's everything he does off the pitch as well as what he brings to the pitch. And you can argue he brings stability and he brings a wise head and he brings a calm sort of aura to the pitch. But 100% he will not be scared to say something in that dressing room. And they will listen because of his experience, because of how composed he is as a person. And that's the reason he's been at the top level for as long as he has. Like, he is a good player, there's no doubt. I don't think anybody doubts that. But there's everything about his leadership quality. There's everything about, like his responsibilities, such as taking the money for the fines and all that sort of stuff. That that you can't buy in a player. It's either there or it's not. And he is that.
Sorry, this is also why the likes of Jordan Henderson still get picked for England. I understand everyone kicking off, he's taking up a sport, he's not going to get played. He's there not to be on the pitch. He's there to be that voice in the locker room or what change room, whatever you want to call it. That's what he's there for. He's there for that experience. He's there for the leadership, and I don't understand why people can't get their head around that.
Right, so I've got my thing. I'm fine with Henderson going to a World Cup or going to a Euros. I have no problem with that because I think you're absolutely right. His head, his calmness, his experience, you can't buy it. I don't personally think he should be drafted in for friendlies. That's just my opinion. That's an opportunity for youngsters to have a go.
okay, I understand what you're saying, but then in sort of like the only argument I've got to that is he's there, he's sort of that like that leader and the figure, and a lot of what you're saying there is it's a good chance for the new guys to come in. They come in, and if he's not there for the friendlies, and then he goes off to the tournaments, and one of these new guys comes along, and then he's got John Henderson, is that not adding a little bit more pressure on to the youngster? So is it not good to have both of them there for the friendly, so he can still be that leader, and he can still show him the ropes, and he can still sort of say, "Mate, I'm watching you. It's a friendly for now." But at the tournament, this is going to be the legit thing, rather than just chucking the youngster in at a tournament and then going, "Shit, I've got the pressure of a tournament. John Henderson's down my throat every week. This is intense." So would it not be easier to sort of ease him in at the same time? That's the only caveat I've got to that.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying in terms
I
of
personally
squad.
think there's enough senior heads in that England squad now,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
think
yeah,
Harry Kane is one of them
yeah.
that is being picked for every squad to carry that responsibility. Personally, that's just my view. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I think there's a bit of both. To be honest with you, I just think it's my personal preference. I just don't have a problem with him going to tournaments because of his experience, but friendlies and those sort of things, give the youngsters a go. Just
No,
that's
yeah, no, I know what you're saying, especially with friendlies and stuff. I just think it's good to. I think even with friendlies, you should have it as close to um, tournament conditions as you
fair
possibly can,
enough. Yeah.
just so you're actually ready for when that tournament comes in. But look, we could argue, but to be fair, we'll probably cover that during the run up to the World Cup anyway. But right, one more game to rattle through before we get to that point. Sunderland 1, Fulham 3. This was another game, Grace, where I sort of looked at this and I just didn't really know which way it was going to go. Fulham have been very 50-50 again. Sunderland have been very good at home up until uh, who did they lose to the week at home?
Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool. There we go. Yeah, they had an outstanding home record until that point. So yeah, I just didn't really know which way to go. I didn't expect a 3-1.
No, I didn't. I expected a Sunderland win personally. I'd hoped they'd bounce back, um, but it's. I mean, I've heard talks of them looking over their shoulder, getting themselves in the relegation battle. I think mathematically maybe, but
Sunderland.
Sunderland, yeah. Let's not go mental. I mean, I don't think they'll be dragged into
Let,
it.
let
You,
me have a
you
look.
never know. This season has thrown up weird and wonderful things, but you never. I don't see it personally.
Okay,
I
no, sorry, I just had a look at the table and they're down in the fourth from bottom, but I've still got it in the form.
oh
Um, from earlier on. I was like, what? Like, I was thinking, no way, they're nowhere near the bottom. They're actually sat 12th. But then, yeah, I just panicked then, thinking they're not far from bottom. They're sat 12th on 36 points with the likes of Palace and Brighton around them. Mate, I don't think they need to be looking over their shoulder. I don't
I
know
don't think so.
saying that. No, no.
It could have been fear from Sunderland fans, knowing what relegation can do, and
Again,
it
though,
could
that's probably, like I just said, that's probably kind of on the recent form because on the last 5 games of the form record, they are sat 17th, one win and 4 losses. So that's probably where the argument's coming from. But really, mate, you've had an absolute unbelievable season. Just enjoy it. You've done the hard work. You're going to stay up. So
and they'll get points, but I'm
yeah,
sure they'll get points between now and the end of the season. That it would have to be a wicked turn of events, wouldn't it? But yeah, I think it was just one of those days where Sunderland had an off and Fulham had an amazing one. Like, let's be honest, like that was one hell of a win for Fulham. It was yeah, there was a few penalties in there, and that always skews your view of the game when you find out this penalty. It naturally does. But I think Fulham fully deserved the win. Two Jimenez goals and an Iwobi finish at the end that was pretty damn good, to be fair.
yeah. I'm just sort of looking over the notes here, really. But yeah, Raul Jimenez, he's just aged fine, isn't he? He's
Yeah,
unbelievable. Unbelievable. 34 years old and he's still banging in goals like no tomorrow. Um, Alex Iwobi, very good performance again. Uh,
yeah. Go on, no, you come on.
no, I was just going to say that the only other note I had was that there is cracks in the Stadium of Light.
Ooh, nice. Um, yeah, there is. They were never going to have a flawless season, were they? I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where when you get a few wins on the bounce, your expectations change. And I do just think, this isn't all doom and gloom, this form, I don't think, for Sunderland. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Um, Yeah, it's just one of those results. I think they've just got to put it on the back. As long as they don't let it carry on, as long as they don't take this and go, oh, that's it now, we're back in the relegation. Do you know what I mean? They've got to just put this one to the side and go, look, we had a bad day. Fulham were particularly good. Move on, next game. You know, that's what they 100% have to do. They've got quality. I'm not worried about it at all. I would just like to bring up the fact that I heard a stat that Jimenez has never missed a penalty in the Premier League.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
a great stat.
yeah,
Very good start. I will say as well, obviously, I don't think he's the be all and end all, but Grant Xhaka was only fit enough for the bench, and we just talked about experience in squads and stuff like that. He's a big player for Sunderland, and he turned out to be a great signing. But yeah, look, I don't think there's. I'm not going to say there's a bit of a hangover, but I think you've Sunderland have kind of done enough to just be all right. You've surpassed your expectations, and like you sort of just said, then I think maybe from a fan point of view they expect to win every week now because they've had an unbelievable season so far. And I don't mean this in any disrespect, but I think everybody had you pretty much tipped for relegation. So
yeah.
where you are sat now, yes, okay. From a fan point of view, I totally get it. You want to win every week. We all do. But look, you're going to have these weeks, are you? Especially for a team like Sunderland. But yeah, look, just like you said, you take it, move on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, go on. I'm ready to hear your rant.
Oh, should we have 1 second? Let me have the lineups that just popped out for Everton, Man United. I won't go into them all, but I just want to see if there's any noticeable changes. Um, no, no, not. Oh, Yoro comes in at centre back for Martinez, who was, like I said, injured earlier on. But
That's a miss for them.
yeah, other than that, nothing else to really say. Right, look, Tottenham 1, Arsenal 4. Um, Eberechi Eze is never going to have to buy a pint ever again in London, is he? He's just, well, on the Arsenal side. If he never does anything else ever again in an Arsenal shirt, no one will care
No.
for Arsenal. Unbelievable. Grace, I've not even prepared a rant. I just can't be asked. I'm just what what I will say. First thing I want to ask, right? As a neutral, because
Mm,
obviously I'm going to be biased. We're going to
hmm
get onto the at two. It was 2-1. A ball comes in. We've all seen it. Um, Gabriel goes up to head the ball away, and Colin Mawani, according to the comment section, absolutely speed him out of the air and to make it 2-2, and the goal was ruled out. Talk to me about this goal, Grace, because should this have stood, or is this rightly ruled out?
I think this is absolute bollocks, if you ask me. I think this is horrendous. And I am somebody who needed Tottenham to lose. Do you know what I mean? I'm at that point of being a West Ham fan where I'm looking above me and just hoping anybody loses. Do you know what I mean? I think this is horrendous. How is that a foul? I mean, it's a contact sport, Matty. It's a contact sport. You wouldn't know. You really wouldn't know. Yes, there's a push, but it's contact. Like I get so annoyed. And at this pre-match event the other day, I listened to James Collins, who was an absolutely legendary centre back for us, and he said, I'm pretty sure, and I can quote, he said, footballers today are cocks. Like they just fall over. Like this is I'm getting irate about this. Why am I getting irate? Like this shouldn't matter to me, but somehow I can't say I'm the biggest fan of Gabriel. I can respect his ability 100%. I can't say I'm his biggest fan. I personally prefer Saliba as a person, just from what I've seen. But it's that sort of stuff that just make me annoyed by him more.
Not even just him, just Arsenal in general. This is the look. I know that you know me, right? I try and be as neutral as I possibly can. Naturally, there's going to be a little bit of bias coming out here against. Well, you'll know I'll be the first to absolutely call Tottenham out. We were shit,
Hmm.
absolutely shit. So I do try and be as neutral as I can. But look, if you're ruling this goal out for this push on Gabriel, you have to go back and relook at every Arsenal corner ever that I've had this season. It's literally all that they've done. And yeah, again, we can go back and we can talk about the Arsenal Nick Voltemade. There was a similar incident there with he pushed Gabriel and the goal was stood. Tottenham with Etitike pushed Romero, and everyone was coming out saying Romero's got to be stronger and defend himself better. But all of a sudden, this happens, and I mean, it's not even just. to be honest, I think Gabriel's been very, very clever. I always think he was being beaten in the air. 100% he was already going to be beaten in the air. And I think he's backed himself up and he's backed into Colin Mawani and Colin Mawani's put his hands there and he's felt that touch on his back and he's and flobbed
Yeah.
himself on the floor and it's the way he went down as well. It was so theatrical and he's played right into the ref. And look, across the board, I think the referee had an absolute shocking game. And
Yeah.
again, we've already, I mean, we were slightly touched on it earlier, but this whole the whole technical problems and look, technology doesn't always work, right? But for 25 minutes to have this problem throughout the game continuously going on is a joke in today's sort of era. But yeah, the referee had a shocking performance all game, and if you are ruling this out as a foul, then the football's just dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's done in it. And let me ask you this, right? I know you've already said that you think the goal should have stood. If that was the other way around and Colin Mawani was pushed over by Gabriel, do you think that would have been given as a penalty?
No.
So why is it a foul?
But I think it would have been given as a penalty if it was Romero.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%, yeah. I mean, I can't say that because he's going to come out across unbelievably biased. But as someone as neutral, yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you because it's come down to the characteristics of players again, doesn't it? And Gabriel's been put on this sort of like this what's the sort
Pedestal.
of pedestal, yeah, of being like, oh, he's one of the best defenders in the world and stuff like that. So he won't make a mistake like that. He won't be getting beat in the air. Yes, he did. He got beat in the air. He was never getting to that ball, and he's been very very clever, and the ref fell for it. Look, do I think it would have made a difference? Probably not. I still think Arsenal would have gone on to win the game. We were shit, but at 2-2, it's hard to say, innit? Anything could have
Yeah.
happened. I think the way the crowd was before. To be fair, and Tottenham fans, you've been incredible all season for the situation you are in. Every single game, you are always singing at the top of your lungs. Um, but yeah, it was incredible. It was nice to see Dele Alli at the stadium before the game. It was constantly singing throughout. We'll break down the goals in a second, but we equalised right off the back of them scoring, and we just popped off again. That second goal went in, and obviously the crowd go mental.
Mm.
I'm not. I don't think it would have changed the game, but it would have had an impact, wouldn't it? It would have been a different outcome. It wouldn't have
You
obviously.
can't help but think it. And this is the problem is, you say, oh, we'll break down the goals afterwards. This is what we have to talk about because this is the big changing moment of the game. And look, I really don't like Peter Banks as a referee. I hate when I see him come up as the West Ham referee, I get nervous because I can't trust him.
Is he quite inexperienced compared
I don't know.
to?
I just think he's shit.
I, I don't want to say inexperienced, but I feel like there could have been someone chosen better for a North London derby. I think for the magnitude of this game, I
Do
think
you remember the days when the referee, you knew which referee was going to referee the Manchester Derby or the North London Derby because it was the best that the Premier League had to offer? I don't know about you, but I remember those days being, I already know who's repping this. Like, and I just don't. Maybe they've gone, oh, it's for fairness or whatever. But for me, those games they're hard to control as it is. They are on, a tightrope in many ways. One wrong challenge, and you've got 11 men versus 11 men absolutely going at each other. I think the best of the best should be refereeing that game. Someone who can control that game without like I often see referees giving out yellows early. Well, you set a precedent now. Do you know what I mean? It's you're now just going to be flying yellows out really, really early and all the time. It,
this
it just yeah, it
this
frustrates me.
wasn't this wasn't an isolated incident. There was these incidents kicking off all over the pitch from Arsenal. I mean, did you watch the game, didn't you?
I watched as much of it as I could.
Did you see the moment where a ball's played over the top and Colin Mawani is running onto it, and he probably would have got there, and Gabriel absolutely wipes him out. If you look at
Mhm.
that, he's nowhere near the ball. His eyes are not on the ball whatsoever. It's on Mawani, and he's every intention of taking Mawani out. There's no eyes on the ball. How is that? I don't. He won't even give us a foul. And I might be wrong because I've watched a lot of football. But I'm pretty certain that ended up leading towards the first goal from Arsenal. And you kind of got a question, well, how come VAR aren't pulled it back? Look, I'm not. That'll have to be doubled. That'll have to be fact checked or whatever. We'll have to look back at that again. But I'm fairly certain he wipes out Colin Mawani and then it ends up leading to Arsenal's first goal. And yeah, I wanted to ask you a question, right? And this could spark off a podcast on its own. have referees now got worse because of VAR? Because they are overly reliant on them and they can afford to make the mistakes and be a bit more relaxed because they know they've got the VAR there.
Yeah, yeah. I genuinely do. I think it used to be a really, really difficult job to be a referee, and it still is hard, there's no doubt. But they've got this backing now where if they make a mistake, someone's gonna it's not pressure, is it? It's not pressure of you made a mistake, you need to be better. It's oh well, if I make a mistake, they'll just deal with it in the VAR room. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got this: is it a clear and obvious error bollocks? There's so much weaved into it that it. Yeah, I genuinely I just think I think there's loads of reasons why the refereeing standard is as poor as it is. Because on Fanalysis, you can rate the referees now, and now I've not given a positive one yet. I really haven't. And the problem is it feeds this conspiracy. Those sort of decisions, the Gabrielle push being, it was a disallowed goal. It feeds the conspiracy of these big boys making the decision of they want the title race to go on longer. They want it, they don't want Tottenham getting a win here today. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's correct, but I'm saying it feeds those conspiracies. It feeds that. You can't help but think that. You can't help but think, is football really making that decision or is something else making that decision? And, we've spoken about Romero making challenges and people automatically thinking the worst. I do think there's a part of that as well, and that Arsenal back line is sort of the golden child of the Premier League. It's almost like they can't do anything wrong, and it's so sad that in a North London derby we have to talk about those decisions rather than the football on the pitch because I'd love to be waxing lyrical about Eze's performance and some of the finishes and the confidence and Gyökeres. I mean, you've already mentioned him, how brilliant he was. I'd love if that was what we were talking about, but it's just not because a decision was made in that game that you're right, it might not have changed the outcome, but it definitely would have changed something in that game. It definitely would have, you never know. Tottenham could have taken confidence from that and then all of a sudden gone 3-2 up. And then where are you at? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying they go on and win it, but it's a really horrible thing to have to talk about when it's down to a refereeing decision like that.
Yeah, so look, we've covered it, haven't we? What I want you to do, Grace, for me, because I know you do your little your detailed notes. Talk me through each goal, and where I will, I'm going to jump in because I've got a little bit to say on sort of like each goal, really. You run me through, and I'll just sort of jump in where I can.
Okay. Well, when Arsenal went 1-0 up, really, really good finish, but he wasn't picked up at all. I think it highlighted the issue I've been banging on about for weeks about Tottenham, about that sort of gap in between that midfield and defence, and he just exploited that 100%. So that was 1-0 Arsenal. Any notes on that?
Uh, no, not really. Eze, like I've already covered it, he'll never have to buy a drink in Arsenal ever again. He's just Tottenham's kryptonite, isn't he? And I think if Tottenham had signed him in the summer instead of him going to Arsenal, they'd have probably scored six own goals and been injured for 4 months by now. So yeah, it's just the way it's Tottenham's cursed, man. I think was it Saka who got the assist? I think for that because
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, I don't think he actually got credited the assist, but it was him that put the cross through, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a bit fortunate, I think. I think Sarr, it wasn't really Sarr's fault, but Sarr sort of put a tackle in and it bounced fortunately for Saka. But yeah, other than that, no, yeah, I can't really complain about it.
Then the Colomwani equaliser, which was very, very quickly afterwards, was a Rice mistake, a
Yes,
rare Rice
this
mistake.
is what. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this. Just sort of what your thoughts were, because I thought it was funny how they scored. And did you see Rice tell everybody that they need to concentrate for the next 5 minutes, and then he thinks that he's Ballon d'Or material, trying to meg our players. Look, you can't do that in that sort of area. You just scored. And he did. He tried to meg Colin Milani, didn't he? And it didn't pay off. And I just think, mate, you've just scored. You've just told everybody to stay switched on. You can't be doing stuff like that in that sort of area on the pitch.
No, I totally agree. And it was one hell of a finish from Colomwani. I think that takes away from the goal that I mean, Milani still had to do a lot. Let's be honest,
Yeah,
he had a lot still to do, and he finished it very, very well.
yeah. His first Premier League goal for Tottenham as well. And the one thing I did notice, like you said, a very good finish. I liked how he he cut across, and he knew he had to hit it hard. He knew he had to hit it fast because, to be fair, Raya almost did get to it, but because of the pace on it, it was just drilled so fast and so low. It was yeah, very very clever finish.
Then on to Arsenal's second goal. It was, I mean, I don't even know if I remember this.
Gyökeres from a timber
It was
assist.
Gyökeres who scored it. And again, he was occupying that same space that I've banged on about with Tottenham for ages. Really good finish, and I think that started off his excellent second half. Really, I just thought he was quality.
Okay, so right, I've already said Gyökeres was very very good during this game. And to be fair, I don't know what it is, but everybody, and not just Arsenal, but everybody seems to have their best game against Tottenham, which probably goes to show what
To
we are.
top,
Because yeah, Doctor Tottenham, um, Somerville, we kicked off Somerville's fantastic run, and we give we give Burnley their first win in about 300 games or something. But yeah, look, what I wanted to pick up about Gyökeres, this second his first goal, sorry, if I'm remembering this right, it was a good finish. But I mean, I was in the pub, so I may have heard this wrong when I heard this. But Gary Neville was on commentary, I think. I am fairly certain he mentioned Gyökeres and Thierry Henry in the same sentence. And I honestly, I nearly dropped my pint. I was like, you have not just mentioned these two people in the same. There's no, unless he was saying the only way they should be compared in the same sentence is that Gyökeres has just come to shine Terry Henry's boots. But the unbelievable how I've mentioned this before about commentators. Every week I'm getting closer and closer to just watching the game on mute because it's becoming unbearable. But really, it was a decent finish. But really? Like I didn't get the whole hype around this. It was a good finish. That's all it was.
yeah,
Did you see how much space he had on the pitch? He
yeah,
had all
yeah,
the
yeah,
time in the world.
yeah, yeah. And this is there's been a big thing on football social media this week about hot takes and that being the thing that you know makes football social media now. It's sort of dying. There's loads of different things. But I almost feel like that with commentators now is, I look, Gary Neville is not the worst in my opinion. I don't think he's the worst, but doesn't say a lot in many ways. But I mean, Gyökeres has been great, and he was my player of the week a couple of weeks ago. He's been very good, for the past month and a half maximum. He's shown his quality, but to be even mentioning, I didn't hear that personally, but to be even mentioning Thierry Henry just feels disrespectful to the great that was Thierry Henry.
Like I said, I was in the pub, so I didn't quite hear the full. But he 100% he mentioned both of them in the same sentence, and I'm gonna have to go back and find out what it is he actually said. And if he didn't compare them, then I will hold my hands up and say fair enough. But if he has compared them, he's never allowed to work in commentary again. That is just honestly, it was a good finish, but he had about 4 miles of space. He had all the
Mm.
time in the world. Um, go to the three. Go to 3-1. That's a 3-1.
3-1 was Eze again. I'll be honest with you, you lot played yourselves into trouble here. This was last ditch defending at its finest in many ways.
Mhm.
And Eze just finished it off essentially, and it's 3-1, and pretty much the game's gone to bed now. It's been put to bed.
Yeah, do you know what? Honestly, I can't remember the fourth goal. Gyökeres. Yeah, do you know what? He probably backheel spin kicked it, did a backflip in the air, and banged it top bins or something. I don't care anymore. We're gonna get relegated. I've had it. Look at me. Look at what we've done. I've aged about 5 years, and we've only done this podcast for about 6 weeks. I can't do it anymore.
Well, in an informational way, the fourth goal was a Gyökeres supporting run from Erdegaard. Um, it was just a great supporting run, like he has done a few
Grace,
times, and
don't care.
and it was
Don't
a
care.
composed finish. It was a composed finish, and it summed up it rounded off a very good game. A very
Look how professional you are. You are so professional. I don't care. I don't care. I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm sick of every week talking about this, and you are so good at just getting the information that the listeners need. But I don't care. Don't care. One thing I did want to point out about this game actually is have you seen this video come out? Obviously, we've not even mentioned this was Igor Tudor's first game, by the way. But have you seen this video? And I wanted to point this out, and we are going to wrap the podcast up in a bit. Um, Igor Tudor was shouting at Mickey van der Ven to get up the pitch. Have you seen this video?
No.
Oh my God, I was going to send you it as well. I was going to send you it on Instagram, but I thought, one, you won't see it because your DMs are just rammed. And then,
Yeah.
but I thought you'd have just seen it anyway. I'll send you it later on. He's on the touchline and he's shouting at Van der Ven. Like, I think does he say something like push higher or get like he wants the defensive line to push it higher. And I think this might have been at 2-1 or something like that. But he wanted him to get up the pitch basically. And Van der Ven could not give a shit. He completely ignored him. He just looked away. He just sort of looked at him and was just kind of like. "Mm." And then I'm sure even Igor Tudor sort of waved Van der Ven over to come and speak to him. Didn't go anywhere near him. Didn't come over to him. And this is what I wanted to say, right? At this point, I mean, very, very quickly, Jose Mourinho, uh, Nuno Espirito Santo, if you want to count that, Conte, Stellini, if you want to chuck him in as well with Ryan Mason, Ange, uh, Thomas Frank, and now with Igor Tudor, you can't tell me that this is the manager's fault. I mean, 100%. I've given a lot of stick on Thomas Frank. I loved Ange as a man, and he had his faults. But this surely now has to fall on the players. Yes, we've got injuries, but if you're completely just blatantly ignoring the manager, and I will just add, I think Van der Ven came out in the overlap and said he went to Ange Postecoglou and said we need to change the tactics for the final. Why? Why is it okay? Yes, it paid off, but why is the players dictating the style of play? Why have they got this much control? Why have they got this much power in the dressing room? You are the manager. You stamp your authority on it. Okay, yes, we won the final. So that kind of, I know all the comments are going to say, what are you complaining for? You won. Doesn't matter. Like, why are they having this much power?
That's not the point you're trying to prove, is it?
No, there's an arrogance in the team. And like you sort of mentioned earlier, in sort of they think they're too good to go down. You shouldn't even be mentioned. If you're that good, you shouldn't even be in the relegation fight in the first place. It isn't all on the players. I think a lot of this comes from the higher ups in terms of the board and stuff. Man, I'm right. So, oh, I'm going off. Wait, have you seen some of the comments? People are saying they want Tottenham to be relegated. Tottenham fans want Tottenham to be relegated because the board deserve it. Are you mental? Because this is going crazy. Do you see how much damage this will do to our club in terms of finance, players? I don't know if you saw the headline. We're already losing sponsorships because they're scared that we're going to go down. What world do you want Tottenham to be relegated if you are a fan of the club? Why? Why?
That is somebody who does not understand just the impact of relegation at all.
It's not just one. It's not just one just nutter that's sat behind the keyboard. I'm seeing hundreds of comments about saying the board deserve it. Don't care. Tottenham going down, we probably will not survive coming back up again for at least a season. I genuinely think if we go down, I don't think we're going to bounce back. The financial impacts that we will have if
Yeah.
we yes, okay, parachute payments, we shouldn't ask for fucking. Why are we talking about parachute payments?
Mm. I think of the players you'd lose. You'd have to
Everybody,
rebuild.
everybody. Who's going to
Yeah.
stick around?
No.
Seriously, who's going to
Archie
stick around? Archie Gray, maybe. Wilson
Gray,
not there at a push.
maybe. Yeah.
Half our squad already want out anyway. They're not going to stick around if we're in the championship. Oh, Grace, come on, man.
Gonna lie, mate, it is looking rough at Tottenham at the moment because they are the only team not showing that fight. And there is an arrogance and there is I mean, that about Van der Ven, that's just a shit
I'll,
play.
I'll send you the video, and just I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? And I like Van der Ven. I think he's a
Mhm.
fantastic player, and I was disappointed. Do you know when someone says to you, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed," and it breaks your heart. That's how I
Yeah.
feel, Van der Ven. That is it. I know you're not watching because you probably don't care anyway, but that is how I feel. I'm disappointed in you, mate, and you better sharpen up.
Oh God, yeah, it's going to be a tough run to the end of the season for both of us, I think, in all honesty.
100%. And we are going to wrap up now, but genuinely, where do you think Tottenham's next win's going to come from? Because I can't see it. Genuinely cannot see where the next win is going to come. Let me
Yeah,
uh,
tell me the fixtures.
next fixtures. We've got Fulham away, which they're on the back of just beating Sunderland. Look, I think we could get something out of Fulham, but I wouldn't be surprised if they turned us over 2-0 at all.
Oh God, yeah, neither would I. I'd love to give you hope, but I genuinely don't.
It's such a
There
it,
there is a mentality, and I know you're not used to it in many ways because you've never had to face it. But I'm sure you have a very good understanding of, you get out of these things from mentality. You really do. It's that psychological aspect is that push that you just, if you don't have it, you're in a bad place. And I, I mean, I can say this as well because I literally heard two centre backs from our Great Escape season where we beat Man United, who just won the league on the last day of the season to stay up, and they could not say more about the mentality and about the responsibility and actually understanding what relegation would mean. And I think that is just, I am worried for you if I'm honest, mate. I'm worried.
Fulham, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Forest, Sunderland, Brighton, Wolves, Villa, Leeds, Chelsea, Everton.
I mean, look, this season there's no easy game. Even Wolves isn't an easy game at the moment.
Fucking hell, we give Wolves a point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we gave them three, but you
I'm
know,
I'm speechless, Grace. I really am.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
in the perfect world for both of us, I think both Tottenham and West Ham stay up, Forest go down, and Arsenal bottle it. That's the best case scenario.
Well, I'll be honest with you, from a West Ham point of view, I think there's quite a few of us who would love to see Tottenham go down. I would feel too bad for you, Matty. Look, I have never had this type of, look, we run a podcast together. I don't want that to happen for you. It's devastating. Um, that's just my point of view. It's absolutely devastating, and I think realistically, it probably is between West Ham and Forest. But
Is it though? Is it realistically between them two? It's not. It's really not. We are. Oh my! I can't. We ain't got long enough. Um, I just don't want to go to Stoke away. Fucking Jesus Christ! Can I just put this out there, right? Wrexham has beaten more Premier League teams this year than Tottenham have.
that's a stinker of a stat. That is.
And is it Macclesfield or Mansfield, whichever one smashed it? They've beaten more Premier League teams than us. And I don't know what I've done in the past life, but to support Tottenham and have a whole City season ticket pass, uh, I must have done something really really bad, Grace. Because look at me, I've aged, man. This is why I wear hats. Because look at this, man. I'm getting so old and I can't do it anymore.
All I can say is I'm sorry because that's all I
I,
can say.
I know. It's like you said, right? Yeah, okay, we're not used to being down here, but we shouldn't be anywhere near it.
Shouldn't be.
And yeah, yes, we've got injuries, okay, but
Still shouldn't be.
come on. Grace, wrap it up for me. So,
Well, we both said our player of the week. I what was your match of the week?
don't care.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll give my
no,
match.
no, go on. Let's get this. Go on. I'm only messing. Let's get back this on track. Genuinely, I can't give it to Arsenal because I just can't. If it wasn't against Tottenham, that performance probably would have earned them it. But yeah, you're not having it. I feel like again, I'm doing this quite regularly, but I'm gonna have to give it to Man City Newcastle. I enjoyed watching it. Um, I just enjoyed watching all of it. I don't think we mentioned in our rundown of it, but Newcastle did have the ball in the back of net again for a 2-2 with Dan Burn, which was ruled out. But yeah, just it had everything. I really enjoyed that game. It was a very sort of professional performance from Man City, and I think we kind of expect them to sort of go a bit sort of gung ho with certain teams, but there was 2-1 up with quite a long time to go, and they just steadied it and they saw the game out. Very, very professional win. And like I've already mentioned, how impressed I was with O'Reilly and Haaland. So yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I am going to go for that was up there for me, but I am going to go for Sunderland versus Fulham. I thought it was a bit of a turn up for the books. I thought Fulham were very, very good. And it just had everything, didn't it? It had penalties, it had, had lots of goals, and we weren't exactly, other than the North London derby, it wasn't exactly filled with goals this weekend. Quite a lot of ones and nils and all that jazz. So I think it was an entertaining game from a neutral perspective. So that's my view on it.
Yeah, I was just looking to see if we haven't got any midweek fixtures, have we? It's all Champions League,
No,
isn't it?
it's Champions League. But I
Champions.
do want to get your prediction for Everton Man United tonight.
Oh, well, I think we added that onto our predictions. If you haven't seen our predictions, we pick three games every week. Uh, I pick a score. What Grace? What do we do? What do we do? We pick three games. We pick the results, and it's a point if you get the correct result. No, a point if you
No,
get the correct result. 3 points if you get the correct score.
yeah.
I don't even know what I said. What did I say? Oh,
I don't.
I've said 1-0 Man United, and you've gone 2-1 Man United.
Martinez out though.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one for United now.
Yeah. Are you sticking with the 2-1 here? I mean, you have to.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You
stick
have
with
to
it.
for a prediction, but
Yeah, I'll stick with it.
I need to go through our points and find out who actually is winning that. I really should keep a better track of that.
But yeah, because I'm assuming you're winning. I'm assuming.
No, it was really really close, and then I think I got a correct score line, and it put me like 4 points ahead, and then I think you got two correct score lines, so I think it's close. There's a very good battle going on here, but I'll find out what the total is, and we'll mention it on next week's pod. So remind me about that. But yeah, Grace, I mean, do you know what? I actually have really enjoyed this podcast, apart from that last sort of 20 minutes. But other than that, I've had a really good time. Grace Wild Football on Instagram, go check her out, and on TikTok and all them great places. We are on YouTube and we're on Spotify now, Grace. So go follow that, subscribe, like, hit the bell notification, which I think is something you've got to say now. Follow, rate 5 stars, comment, do whatever you want. Just don't support Tottenham Hotspur because it will ruin your life. Grace, thank you so much, and we will do it all again next week.
Yes, we will. Well, thank you very much. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Bye bye, guys.